What's going on, Sumolings? Thank you for joining us for another product walkthrough webinar. We are joined by the team over at Peoplebox. Peoplebox is a tool that tracks remote employee performance and engagement, helps you build OKRs, and supports more productive one-on-ones. Before we dive in today and start talking to the team, I just want to let you know a few quick things. The first is that if you want to tell us about yourself, about why you're interested in Peoplebox, about what your team is like, we would love to hear all of that information over in the chat room. If you have any questions about the tool, the deal, how to get set up, anything like that, questions are going to go in the Q&A box down below the video, and we will circle back to those questions at the end of the walkthrough. We also have some people from Peoplebox joining us to answer those questions as they come in. And then the last thing is that there will be a replay of this. So if you need to step out or anything, you can totally go ahead and do that. All right, that's it. Abhinav, how are you doing?
Doing great, couldn't be better. How about you?
I am doing all right. I am excited for us to take a tour of this today. I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Lindsay. Thank you so much for allowing us to actually do this webinar. Hi, everybody. This is Abhinav. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Peoplebox. So in simple words, we are a first of its kind engagement and performance tool for remote teams. We are ourselves remote. We're based in San Francisco and Bangalore, and majority of our teams are in different cities. We understand the challenges are a bit different than in-office teams. There are no water cooler chats. There are no lunches together. Building the relationships is difficult. Providing visibility is not easy. Collecting and giving feedback could be hard. And your normal engagement and performance software doesn't really solve that. And that is why we are building Peoplebox, a platform to help remote companies build motivated and high achieving teams. We are super excited to be on AppSumo. We have got an amazing response. We have got an amazing feedback and discussions about the future roadmaps, the features that people are asking. So I'll just very quickly dive in about the product, and more importantly, not just what we have built, but also I'd spend some time on what we will be building in a few months to come. So yeah, let me just share my screen. Okay. Yeah, the very first part of our product is about anonymous engagement surveys. So as you know, when the teams are remote or distributed, or when they're working from home, you're very less likely to bump into each other or just get to chat with employees and understand how things going. The conversations are usually very transactional, so it's very difficult to understand and capture the pulse of employees. So that's where our tool comes in. It sends anonymous surveys to everybody in your company, and they're automated, and all the control is in your hands. So you can choose the frequency. It could be weekly, it could be fortnight, monthly, quarterly. You can choose the questions. We have a large library of questions, and you can just schedule at the time. There is very little you have to do to set up a survey, but you have all the control and you can change pretty much what you like. So this is the place. I'll just show you how quickly it is. So you can just, we have large, number of questions based on drivers and categories. So you can just, if you want to add a new question, you can just select the question and you can just choose a driver. So for example, you can just say as simple as how happy you are working at the company, or you can even select categories like remote or even COVID. You can just say, how satisfied are you with the top leadership role in smooth transition to remote work, and you can just then save the questions, and you can just go and schedule this survey. Now, what happens when you schedule the survey? It comes into employees in the form of either an email, or if you have Slack or Microsoft Teams, It just nudges them. So this is typically how the survey comes. The question is inside the email. And as you've noticed, we talk a lot about anonymity. That's the way Peoplebox builds trust with your employees, that we are a safe platform for you to share any feedback you want, and it will be completely anonymous. And that provides the companies the ability to capture honest and candid feedback. So what employees do when they get this email, they just click on any of this and they just typically start the survey. It's not typically a form-based survey that you see in either SurveyMonkey or Google Forms. It's based on a chatbot that makes it a little more intuitive and more interesting. So say the question that this Nova, our chatbot, she actually goes and collect the survey. So a typical question, for example, is how motivated are you to work under your manager? And the good thing about Nova is that if you happen to have a good feedback, you have the option to add the comment. But let's suppose you have a constructive feedback, you say you're not really happy, then it automatically opens a pop-up to provide you some more detailed open text feedback, which gives the ability for employees to write more like details, which is of course very useful for the company, for the leadership, for the HR. So let's say I just write, a lot of micromanagement. I get to hear that a lot. And then of course you can answer these questions very quickly. The text is always optional, and you can just say this is great. And then most of the questions are on a 5-point scale, but you also have the option to ask any open text question. To say, if the question is, if you were the CEO, what's the one thing you'd change about the company? And say, I would do all hands meetings every month. Okay. So that's typically how the survey works. Usually in a monthly survey, there are around 12 questions, and in a quarterly survey, there are not more than 20 to 25 questions, and it typically doesn't take any more than 3 to 4 minutes for an employee to fill it. So it's very quick, it's intuitive, and usually the participations are very high. Now, what happens to this feedback, which is again a very important question. So typically the place where we saw that how to build survey, you can go on to all the surveys there and you can look at the analysis. So you can see how all the responses, how they're rated, how many people participated, what are the departments overview with respect to the engagement scores, then all the messages, and we'll go and dig deep into this part. How are the company performing on each driver, whether it's about culture, engagement, facilities, feedback and recognition, and then each manager, how are they doing? So a large bit of everything we do is based on the fundamental belief that people don't leave bad companies, they leave bad managers. So our core philosophy of building an engaged workforce is through building great managers. So we keep manager scores always on par with engagement scores, and that's why we focus a lot on managers. So you see all the, what are the top rated managers, what are the least rated managers, so that you can of course focus a lot on that. Now, what makes us different from the other engagement tool is something that is our flagship feature that I want to focus a lot more on. So the problem, when we started Peoplebox, and we started as an engagement product, and we were running surveys in a lot of companies, and there was this one thing that became very, very clear to us, which was think about the anonymous survey. They're really great. It gives the ability for anybody to be honest, not worry about the repercussions, and usually you end up getting a high quality feedback and more participation. There's one little problem though, and that problem is that when you get a feedback which is very once-off, it just doesn't provide you the ability to go and dig deep. Let me give you an example. Let's suppose you run a survey and you ask a question saying, how happy are you with the company? And say one of the feedback that you get is that I'm extremely unhappy. I'm one of the best performer. I love the company. I love my job. but lately I'm being extremely unhappy. I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't have the clarity. I'm not able to get, I'm not able to achieve success, and I don't see myself in this company for long. And you're reading this feedback, and say your leadership and your HR, they're reading it, and there's very little you can do anything about it. You really want to, you're craving to reach out to this person, but you can't because it's anonymous. And that's a major issues almost every company or almost every leadership or HR face when they run anonymous survey. Similarly, on the other side, employees doesn't feel any different. The person who has taken the courage to write the feedback, she feels exactly the same. I have written so much, I've literally poured my heart here. Did somebody even bother to read that? Are they worried? Did somebody acknowledge it? Did they trash it? They have no idea. And the reason for that is because the bridge is broken. Neither they can know what happened to our feedback, nor the employers or the leadership can reach out to them. And that's one of the major problem, or one of the key challenges that companies face with anonymous survey. And we have solved that with what we call anonymous messaging. So what anonymous messaging does is it allows the leadership or the HR to reach out to every feedback that any employee has written without ever knowing that who this person is. So you can actually you can understand that this is somebody from marketing team, and you can actually reply to them. We have this auto-build answers that you can use. So you can say, okay, thank you so much. This is so really helpful. Can you share more details? And they get a message saying that, okay, you have got this reply from the CEO. They don't know who they are. So just, feel free to reply. And sometimes that converts into a long conversation, but all in all, it's a great thing for the leadership to go and provide acknowledgement or dig deep. And for the first time, employees feel heard. They feel that, okay, we give this feedback and actually somebody respond to that, somebody acknowledge that, somebody wants to know more about it. The impact of this you see in the future surveys, the participation goes really high, the quality of feedback you see very high, and overall engagement becomes high. So rather than unlike a lot of engagement tool where the purpose is to collect feedback or just sort of becoming an engagement capture tool, we try and become an engagement enabling tool. So by ensuring that we build bridge, and especially a very safe bridge between employees and leadership. So that's one of the most important feature about our engagement tool. Yeah, that's pretty much it about the engagement survey. I want to now move to the next feature, which is about one-on-ones, which is again one of our another very, very important feature. So if you can just give me 1 second, let me just reload this. Yeah, so this is primarily for managers and their teams to do meaningful one-on-ones. And the focus here is to build great relationship and understand what is working and what's holding the team. So the way it works, Peoplebox completely integrates with any calendar system that you use, whether it is Google or Microsoft Office, and it fetches all the one-on-one. So you can see that, okay, I have a one-on-one on, say, the day after tomorrow, or with Johnny, and you can look at all your past one-on-ones. You can even if a one-on-one is not in your calendar, you can actually create a one-on-one. So what I'll do is, just for the demo purpose, I'm going to create a one-on-one. Say I'll do it on 16th at 11 o'clock, and just go and create it. Now, what I would like to show is how this one-on-one first appear for an employee. So I'm just going to switch to the employee mode. So yeah, as you see, as an employee, I get an email or a Slack notification saying that, okay, I have a one-on-one set with my manager. And when I click on it, I come here and I say, okay, I have a one-on-one at 11 o'clock. Let's just go into that. And the very first thing that I see here is very simple pop-up which asks me how productive am I since my past one-on-one. And the purpose here, and especially it's very, very important when the teams are either remote or distributed, is to provide the visibility to the managers on what's working or what's not working. And because a lot of times we don't really get into these one-on-one meetings, most of the meetings are either stand-ups or team strategy meetings. They happen over Slack, and you don't really get a lot of avenues to discuss about what's affecting my productivity or motivation. So this is one place where I can go and talk about, okay, I don't have a lot of clarity, so a lot of things on my plate and don't really know where to focus. I can put it there as well. And what I get as an employee is the entire productivity trend, how my productivity has been for the past few weeks, and this is visible to my manager as well. This actually becomes a very, very important talking point for the managers and employee in their upcoming one-on-ones. Another very important part of our product tool is the suggested talking points. In fact, we have one of the most extensive list of talking points for one-on-one. We actually were the #2 product of the day in Product Hunt when we launched it, and it's based on different categories, different drivers, and we have some recommended as well. And one of the reasons why we do that is a lot of employees struggle on what to discuss about one-on-one. And a lot of time it happens that manager asks employees, "This is your meeting. Is there anything you want to talk about?" And many of the managers, especially the ones who are a bit introvert, they don't have anything. They say, "No, nothing, everything's going good." And managers also struggle to dig deep and sort of try and find out some issue, and it's not easy. So especially important things like career growth. So we provide a list of questions where people can talk about the career growth. People can talk about icebreakers. They can talk about, say, any feedback on the organization, or even they just want to have their own talking points. So they want to talk about, okay, collaboration with the marketing team and the issues in it. They also have the ability to put private notes if they want to talk about something very specific. So for example, conflict, happening with customer. Okay, that they don't want to put it on the agenda. It's something they have very, very specific thing, and they just want to bring it based on the right timing. And they have all the past one-on-one notes and action items all at one scroll, so they can actually see everything that has been discussed, all the action items there. Let me now move to what happens from the manager side, and that's another thing very interesting that you're going to like it. So from the manager perspective, of course, I can see that I have a one-on-one with Johnny, and I just click on it, and I can see, okay, what Johnny wants to talk about. And very similar to how an employee get a pop-up about the productivity, the manager gets asked about the performance of Johnny. And unlike the productivity here, it's only visible to the manager. So the manager usually asks, how did Johnny perform at work since past one-on-one? And you can talk about, okay, what is working, what is not working, whether there is issue about the collaboration or about the skills. And you can even talk about that, okay, there are concerns about the collaboration in the team. Okay, so the question here is, why do we ask this question? What we noticed, again, working with hundreds of teams and a lot of companies, is that typically managers have the tendency to wait or to delay taking any actions when employees are not performing well. And that phenomenon is much more intense when the team is remote, because not every manager is skilled to give constructive feedback. And especially when the team is remote, they know that it's even more difficult. So managers typically tend to delay these meetings. And a lot of time they do these meetings in the performance reviews and appraisal when it's too late, when the employee get to ask that why didn't you tell us earlier? So the purpose of doing this is to provide a reflection to the managers that how the the employee is doing, and of course provide them some suggestions on what they can discuss about it in the one-on-one. If the employees are performing good, it's a great idea to give them recognition and acknowledge their efforts. If they're not performing well and if you have concern, it's a good idea to empathize, just understand what are the issues, and if needed, provide some constructive feedback. So a manager has the view about both the performance and the productivity, and week by week, they can see everything, what is, how the employee has been. Again, managers can add their talking points. Like I said, we have an extensive list of suggested talking points. So manager can talk about it. Manager can view that, okay, the productivity has not been normal. There is an issue about the focus. So they can discuss about, okay, the, lack of clarity and focus as, provided in the productivity. Sorry, Checkin. Okay, they can also talk about, say, in private notes that, the lack of, or say the poor quality of deliveries lately, okay? Yeah, so, that's typically how everything happens before the one-on-one. Now, what happens during the one-on-ones is even more important. So generally, one-on-ones have the tendency to, become more of a conversational and ranting meetings where employees talk a lot and managers talk a lot, and then after the meeting is finished, everything is done. While if you look at the real good one-on-ones, they are more actionable and they are accountable. They provide the accountability and they have some action items. So one of the most important things about Peoplebox one-on-one tool is action items. So both managers or the team members have the ability to add action items for each other. So for example, a manager asks an employee, is there anything I can do to help you with your career growth? And, employees say, can you just help me provide some training on Udacity? And the manager says, sure. So it gives the manager the ability to add an action item on himself, like, provide access to Udacity for training on SEO. And what they can do is they can also, so just 1 second. Yeah, they can actually add this action item to themselves. So what you can just do it's a talking point. All you need to do is press command 2 or just press this thing and it converts into an action item. And you can just set a reminder for yourself. Say, I just get me reminded about that tomorrow so that you don't forget that. And the software actually helps you, close the action items and of course, get things done. Another very important thing which is loved by our users is that every meeting, every one-on-one starts with the previous week action items. And that's what we put on the top right, where whenever you start the meeting, before you go to the employee's talking point, you actually go through each action item and then discuss about it, what happens about that. And that makes both the parties accountable to anything which is sound to them. Even, when they go, so to the one-on-one meetings, all the action items are on the right for the managers to know that, what are the things on their plate from all the one-on-ones. Again, like very similar to the employee, managers also have the access to the past one-on-one all at one scroll. They can look at all the talking points. They can look at what is discussed. And, with each discussed point, they can just mark it, what is discussed, what is not discussed. And if they want to move it to the next one-on-ones as well. So that's pretty much everything about the one-on-one tool and the productivity and performance check-ins and how it helps the managers and team members build better relationship as well as provide more visibility. The last but not the least feature we have is about the OKRs. So let me just reload this again. Oops, sorry, just give me 1 second. Yeah, so this is our goals or OKR section. So you have the visibility about the company-wide goals. You can look at what are the goals that we have set for the company. what are the goals, if you want to just have a goals of some specific teams. For example, I just want to have look at the goals of the sales team. I want to have a look at the goals of, say, the engineering team, or let's suppose just goals for myself, or let's suppose we are direct reports. You have the entire visibility to look goals for anybody. You can create goals. You can look at the key results. You can even check in that, like, for example, your goal was to get over 10,000 signups, and say this goal was till 30th September and today is 10th August. You want to say, okay, after AppSumo, we are at 5K. And you can just say 5,000 and you can just update that. And it makes it really easy for the teams and the entire company to track your goals and OKRs and know where you are about that. Creating goals is extremely simple as well. You can just click on the create goals, and let's say you want to talk about improve employee engagement in the company, and you want to say, okay, it's a company-wide objective. The due date is, say, end of this quarter. Say the owners are, say it's me and say Yvonne and Emily. It's public, and you want to say, okay, improve or reach the ENPS to 4.7. And you can actually just set it up. Right now, it's a 3.9. I want to end it at 4.7, and I want to do it by, say, mid-September. So that's a key result. Then I want to say, okay, run a quarterly engagement survey. And I want to track the process because it's a binary, just whether I do it or not. I want to do it, say, by end of August. Yeah, and let's say I have another one which is about attrition. So I want to achieve retention to 92%, and you can select it as a percentage. And let's say I'm at 88 and I want to go to 92. And again, I want to achieve it by the end of quarter. So I can save that, and then I can do check-in. Let's suppose when I run my survey, I said, okay, this is done. Finish the survey by mid-August with, say, 82% participation. Okay, and it shows, okay, this is completed, and the survey results we got, okay, got it up to 4.5. I can just update it at 4.5, and it does check in. And every time somebody do that, you can see the logs here and the activities. And again, you can go back, you can view all the one-on-ones from company perspective, and you can look at the key results. You can look at where they are, and you are able to track it and update it. That's typically how the whole OKRs work. Very simple, very lightweight. So that's typically how everything what we are doing is work. I want to spend just a couple of more minutes on what we are building. So like I said, our vision is to build a first of its kind engagement and performance tool for remote. So we want to focus on problems that are very exclusive for remote teams. And some of the key challenges that we have identified talking with, and tons of companies and a lot of managers and teams is that when teams go remote, one of the big issues they face is about building relationships and building human connections. They're no longer in office. They can't just swirl their chair and talk with each other. There are no water cooler chats. They're not having lunches together. They're not bumping into each other in the corridor. So how do you build that human connection? How do you replicate those coffee chats or water cooler chats? And that's one of the most important offering that we are building in our coming roadmap. And by the way, our roadmap is also all public. You can view it on the Trello. Let me actually just share my screen again and show it. So that's our roadmap. I'm going to share that the link in the chat. You can view it. You can actually vote on that as well. So yeah, one of the most important thing for us is about these water cooler chats. Another key problem that we identified is onboarding. When new hires join a company, and then the company is remote, it creates a lot of issues. creates a huge challenge to provide the right onboarding to the new hires and provide them the sense of belonging. And that's another key challenge that we want to solve through feedback, through providing them the right one-on-ones, through providing them the right interactions with their buddies, with their peers, with their colleagues, helping them find the right work buddy, a lot of things so that we can make this whole onboarding of new hires smooth. And a lot of other things, whether it is recognition, stand-ups, every other thing which are important to build an engaged and high-performing team in a remote setup is all in our roadmap, which you can view that as well. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have today, and happy to answer any questions.
Amazing. Thank you so much for walking us through all of that. Sumolings, if you have any questions that you would like to get answered, now's your moment to go ahead and submit those to the Q&A box down below the video. The question that we have here right now is, can Peoplebox be used in other languages such as German?
Currently, we don't have that. It is right there in our roadmap. We want to talk about the multi-language support, and we have already got a lot of, in fact, it's the second most upvoted features. We don't have it, unfortunately, right now, but that's in our roadmap, and we're certainly going to look into it.
Awesome. Tell us what you're most excited about on the roadmap.
I mean, I personally am really, really excited about the water cooler chats and onboarding. This is a problem that we ourselves has faced. Like I mentioned in the start, we are a remote first company. So we, in the past month, we got a few employees who joined us, and our ability to build that human connect and our ability to onboard them was very different from what we were able to do when we were in office companies. And that was a real struggle that we ourselves faced. And when we talked to people, they said it's on the top of their list of the struggles that they're facing. In fact, a lot of people told us that one of the only reasons why they want to move back to in-office teams when this whole pandemic is over and when the dust settle down is because of this ability to build a more human connect and ability for people to do more interaction. And that's on one of our top list of solving that. But other than that, another thing that we want to do is make the goals, the engagement, the current offering we have is much more a better experience, provide the ability to do white labeling, provide multi language support as well. That's another things that we are very excited, and we've got a lot of those requests from the Sumolings as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I really love that this product is really prioritizing the employees and making sure that everybody can communicate and really collaborate in ways that are efficient despite all of the things that are happening. I think that's really wonderful, and I think this is really great. I don't have any more questions here. I would love to ask you some, but I don't have anything. If Sumolings, if you have any more questions, you can go ahead and send those in. Is there anything else that we should know? Anything you want to tell us?
Not really. I think like I said in the start, we are super excited to launch it to AppSumo, and we've got again amazing feedback, amazing customers. I'll just say that if you're a company who's thinking about remote, or if you're thinking about even going to the hybrid remote, I think it'll be a great idea to invest time, effort into how to build motivated teams, because it's not easy. You're going to face some challenges compared with when the teams were in office and when they were very close to each other. So yeah, I mean, it's just our effort to make it easier for the companies, for the CEOs, for the leadership, and for the HR to be able to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I really love this. We got one question. Can employees submit/attach files on the one-on-ones?
That's another very important request that we have got. At this moment, no, you can just put the text, but we are building the ability to attach, any attachment along with in your one-on-ones. Awesome. Another thing I would like to add is that at this moment, the tool only allows one-on-one meetings between the managers and the employees, but it is very much in our roadmap to open it to other relationship, whether it is peers or skip level, and at the same time open this tool to other meetings, even if there may be a strategy meeting or a stand-up or even a client meeting. Because the things that we have, whether it is about one scroll down all meetings, talking points, shared and private note, and action items and reminders, we have got a lot of feedback that they are useful not just for one-on-one, but for any other meetings as well.
Yeah, I definitely recommend any Sumolings interested in the future of Peoplebox. This is a very thorough roadmap that seems to be addressing a lot of the questions that they've received. So this is great. All right, the next question that we've got: when an OKR is set as private, is that only visible to the employee, or can they share it with their manager without sharing it across the whole company?
No, when the OKR is private, it's only visible to the employee. At this moment, they can share it with the manager. But like the reason for that is that, as you said, as you put it for the manager, that pretty much now is set for the team. And then, of course, it is visible to the entire company. But again, if we can certainly look into that as well if it is a requirement.
Awesome. All right. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and take us out of here. Thank you so much, Sumolings, for hanging out with us and going through Peoplebox. If you have not already, you can redeem your code at appsumo.com/Peoplebox. It is available right now, starting at just $49. And it is, of course, backed by AppSumo's 60-day guarantee. So go ahead, get set up, play around with it. Let us know how it works for you. If you have any more questions, you can leave those questions on the deal page. But we also are open to your comments and hearing how this is uplifting your teams, helping collaboration, helping one-on-ones and meetings and all of the other wonderful things that make remote teams work. Thank you so much, Abhinav, for taking the time today.
Thanks, Lindsay. Thanks, Lauren. Really enjoy that.
You all are awesome. Everybody have a good one.
You too. Bye.